How many of us as genealogy researchers have been stuck or frustrated by the lack of the 1890 census? I know I have, guys, absolutely. My research gets stuck around that time period. But have you ever explored some of the substitute records that you can use? Hi, I'm Lisa Lisson with Are You My Cousin? And you're in the right place. I try to take the overwhelm out of your genealogy research, and today I'm going to be discussing 3 types of record sets that you can use as a substitute for the 1890 census. You know, that 1890 census is tough, that time period, because it didn't survive. It is extremely tough sometimes when we're trying to find our ancestors as we're tracking them back through the census records. So basically it means we go from 1880 to 1900 and we have that 20-year gap as opposed to a 10-year gap. But what I want to tell you is that just because that census did not survive, you have options for that time period, for records in that time period. And I'm going to give you my 3 best ones to start with. Number 1, one of the first places I'm going to go and search out would be the city or town directories for that time period, whether it's 1890 or any of the time periods around, any of those years around that time period. City directories, while it will not be a full accounting of everybody in that location, it can serve as a partial substitute for the 1890 census. So what you want to do is look for the town directory, the city directory for that 1890s time period. You want to look at the sometimes it's on the front cover, sometimes it's the first couple pages in. You want to read and see who was eligible to be in that city directory. And that's going to help you know whether your ancestor was indeed eligible to be in that city directory. Most likely they were, but there are some things out there there are some exceptions out there that you want to be aware of. So when your ancestor appears in that city directory, then you know that you can put them in a time and a place. Now, you don't always get the family grouping and things like that, but you will find a lot of information in that city directory. In fact, I'm going to put a link to a post that I wrote on city directories in the description below, so that if that's where you're at, I want you to check out that post, because you're going to learn what other things to look for besides just putting your ancestor in time and place. But that city directory serves as a partial substitute for that 1890 census record. Number 2, tax records. Tax records can also serve as a partial substitute for the 1890 census record. Now, it is important, again, that you understand who was required to pay a tax. So that will help you understand why your ancestor is appearing in that record, or maybe not appearing in the record, even though maybe you have other records indicating they were still in that area in the 1890s. So I would encourage you to go through those tax records. Now, oftentimes these are not online. You do need to do this research at the archives, but they can be very helpful, because think about it, the county wanted their money. They wanted to gather their tax, so they would have the tax list to make sure that they had enough money to run the county, and your ancestors were listed. And so that can be very helpful in putting people in place in time. And sometimes on those tax records you get other indications of wealth. You get indications, I've seen it, where they'll indicate where the land was, if it's a land tax type thing, so they'll talk about where the land was located, who somebody's neighbors were, all kinds of other great information that as we as genealogy researchers want to know about. But again, with the loss of the census record of 1890, but the tax records for that county should probably still exist, hopefully, and that will serve as a partial substitute for you as well. Now, the third place to look, the third record set that I would recommend would be to check out these school records, particularly school census records that are there for the county. Now, again, this is a partial substitute. So if your ancestor had school-aged children who attended school, you very well may find them listed out on a school census. So if you're reading a school census from 1890 and you see the children's names, and then you see who the father or who the mother or perhaps a guardian is, you can start to get a lot of information there by putting your ancestors in time and place, always a very important thing. But you can actually also learn things like sibling groupings. You can help differentiate families of the same name, so that, in other words, that you know, if you have, say, 5 children with all with the last name, but they have 2 different fathers, well, you're looking at sibling sets, and then you can say, okay, they're probably cousins. How would they be related otherwise? How are these gentlemen related? But it does serve as a partial substitute for that 1890 census. Now, as you notice, with these 3 that I've talked about, the city directories, the tax records, as well as the school census records, these are all serve as partial substitutes. So there's no one other record that you can go to that replaces that 1890 census. But these are all partial, and you can check each of these and to find your ancestor, and hopefully they would appear in one of these. But still, you want to make sure in order to have a very complete research process, to know where they are in time and place, as well as get some other extra information there, definitely you want to check out these substitutes for that 1890 census record. Now, before you head off to check out these new records, new to you records, hit that subscribe button. You won't miss any videos that are posted here at the Are You My Cousin YouTube channel. And I would also love to hear if you find some really interesting tidbits in these record sets. If you have some success, leave a comment below. It would be very interesting to hear what it is you are finding and if you're finding this helpful. Okay guys, have a great day, and I will see you in the next Are You My Cousin YouTube video. Bye.